The tragedy of the commons is a concept that highlights the overuse and depletion of shared resources due to individual self-interest. This episode delves into the dynamics of this dilemma and explores the essential need for sustainable management practices to ensure the long-term health of these common resources. Howdy, I'm just some random nude dude sitting in my closet talking to myself. It's also where I celebrate the power of free thinking and encourage bold ideas. As a society, we're often afraid to challenge the norms and think outside the box. But here, I embrace the unconventional. So sit back, relax, and join me on this journey of exploration, where we embrace our inner nude dude and push boundaries to discover new perspectives. Almost bit my tongue there. The concept of the tragedy of the commons unfolds as a cautionary tale embedded in the delicate balance between individual pursuit and communal sustainability. In this episode, we embark on a journey to unravel the intricate dynamics of this dilemma, a scenario in which shared resources face the peril of overuse and depletion due to the pursuit of individual self-interests. Coined by Garrett Hardin, the term tragedy of the commons serves as a poignant reminder of the challenges inherent in managing resources that are collectively owned. At its core, the tragedy stems from a paradox. While each individual actor may act rationally by maximizing their own gains from the common pool, the collective result is detrimental to all. This episode seeks to dissect the nuances of the paradox, exploring the historical roots and contemporary manifestations of the tragedy of the commons. From medieval pasture lands struggling under the weight of overgrazing, to the modern-day overexploitation of fisheries and deforestation, the consequences of neglecting shared resources echo through time. As we navigate through this exploration, it becomes evident that the tragedy of the commons is not a mere theoretical concept, but a real and pervasive challenge. The absence of effective regulations, unclear property rights, and a lack of communication among resource users exacerbate the problem. Through this exploration, the episode aims to lay the groundwork for a deeper understanding of why sustainable management practices are imperative for the longevity of our shared resources. The tragedy of the commons refers to a scenario where individuals, acting in their self-interest, exploit shared resources to the point of depletion. Like Spock said, it's illogical to hunt a species to extinction. Garrett Hardin, who popularized the term, argued that without regulation, common resources like pasture lands, fisheries, and clean air are susceptible to degradation as individuals maximize their own gains without considering the broader consequences. Corporations refer to it as externalities. The tragedy of the commons is a profound socioeconomic concept that unravels the intricate dynamics surrounding the utilization and management of shared resources. At its essence, the tragedy is a narrative of conflicting interests, where individuals, acting in rational pursuit of their own self-interest, collectively undermine the well-being of the entire community by overusing and depleting common resources. Garrett Hardin's conceptualization of the tragedy draws attention to the inherent challenge posed by unregulated access to shared resources. It's a scenario where users, driven by the desire to maximize personal gains, often fail to consider the broader consequences of their actions on the common pool. What? Humans not realizing the ramifications of their actions? Nonsense. The result is a gradual degradation of resources, be it pasture lands, fisheries, or clean air, as the cumulative impact of individual actions outpaces the regenerative capacity of the shared environment. To comprehend the tragedy, it's crucial to recognize the intricate interplay of human behavior, ecological systems, and economic incentives. Historically, this dilemma has manifested in various contexts. Medieval grazing lands, for example, vividly illustrate the consequences of overgrazing, when livestock owners, motivated by their individual prosperity, collectively deplete the fertility of common pastures. The echoes of such historical instances reverberate in the modern era, finding resonance in issues like overfishing in international waters and deforestation of tropical rainforests. The tragedy unfolds through a series of interconnected mechanisms. The absence of clear property rights often contributes to the overuse of resources, as individuals lack a sense of ownership and responsibility. Additionally, the lack of effective regulations and the absence of communications among resource users amplify the challenge. As this section unfolds, we'll gain a nuanced understanding of the factors that contribute to the emergence of the tragedy of the commons, fostering a foundation for exploring potential solutions. By delving into the historical roots of the tragedy and examining its contemporary manifestations, this section sets the stage for a comprehensive analysis of the challenges inherent in managing shared resources. The understanding garnered here serves as a vital precursor to the exploration of strategies aimed at mitigating the tragedy and transitioning towards sustainable resource management. To illustrate the concept, historical and contemporary examples can be examined. Historical instances include medieval grazing lands, where overgrazing led to reduced fertility. In the modern era, issues such as overfishing in international waters and deforestation of tropical rainforests provide compelling contemporary case studies of the tragedy of the commons. To truly grasp the profound impact of the tragedy of the commons, it's essential to examine historical instances where shared resources face depletion and degradation due to unregulated use. Simultaneously, contemporary examples bring the concept to life, illustrating that the tragedy remains an ongoing and pressing concern in our interconnected world. One of the quintessential historical examples of the tragedy of the commons can be found in medieval grazing lands. As communities relied on shared pastures for their livestock, the rational pursuit of individual interests led to overgrazing. Livestock owners, seeking to maximize their herd's size, collectively degraded the pasture lands, resulting in reduced fertility and ultimately harming the entire community's livelihood. In agricultural societies with common fields, the lack of clear property rights often led to inefficient land use. Farmers, motivated by personal gain, might overuse the communal fields, depleting the soil and reducing overall agricultural productivity. Modern fisheries exemplify the tragedy of the commons on a global scale. With the freedom to fish in international waters, individual fishing fleets, like the Chinese, are motivated to maximize their catch. However, the cumulative effect of overfishing jeopardizes fish stocks, impacting ecosystems and threatening the livelihoods of communities dependent on fishing. Another example is farming out in West Texas. The farmers plow right up to the road and then use the road to turn their tractors around, degrading the road. But that's an externality. They don't have to pay for repairing the road. So they maximize their field at the cost to taxpayers when the road needs to be replaced because they really don't care. And that's the essence of this whole thing. People just don't give a shit, and they need to. You need to give a shit. The exploitation of tropical rainforests showcased the contemporary manifestation of the tragedy. As logging companies seek to maximize profits, the unregulated harvesting of timber leads to deforestation. This not only diminishes biodiversity, but also contributes to climate change, affecting global ecological equilibrium. By juxtaposing historical instances with contemporary challenges, this section illuminates the enduring nature of the tragedy of the commons. It emphasizes that the issues Hardin highlighted are not confined to the past, but persistent in different forms today. These examples serve as cautionary tales, urging societies to learn from past mistakes and develop proactive, sustainable approaches to resource management. Several factors contribute to the emergence of the tragedy of the commons. Lack of clear property rights, absence of effective regulation, and the absence of communication and cooperation among users can exacerbate the problem. Understanding the factors that contribute to the emergence of the tragedy of the commons is essential for devising effective solutions. This section explores the intricate web of elements that amplify the challenge, shedding light on why shared resources are vulnerable to overuse and depletion. The absence of well-defined and enforceable property rights is a fundamental contributor to the tragedy of the commons. When individuals or communities lack a clear sense of ownership over a shared resource, there is often diminished incentive to manage it responsibly. The ambiguity surrounding property rights fosters a scenario where users may exploit the resource without considering the long-term consequences. In the absence of robust regulatory frameworks, users are left to their own devices, often prioritizing short-term gains over long-term sustainability. Regulations, when well-crafted and enforced, play a crucial role in curbing overuse and ensuring equitable access to common resources. Without such measures, the tragedy of the commons is more likely to unfold as individuals act solely in pursuit of their immediate interests. Effective resource management requires communication and cooperation among those who share the common pool. When users fail to collaborate or communicate, there is a higher likelihood of overexploitation. In scenarios where individuals prioritize their self-interests without considering the broader community, a collective action problem arises, contributing to the tragedy. Individuals and businesses often face economic pressures that prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability. In scenarios where economic survival or profit maximization is paramount, there is a tendency to disregard the environmental consequences of resource exploitation. This myopic focus on immediate benefits exacerbates the tragedy of the commons. As populations grow and societal demands increase, the pressure on shared resources intensifies. Higher demand for food, energy, and other essentials can lead to increased exploitation of common resources unless accompanied by sustainable management practices. Population growth, when coupled with resource-intensive lifestyles, compounds the challenges associated with the tragedy. In an interconnected world, the tragedy of the commons extends beyond local and national boundaries. Globalization introduces challenges in managing transboundary resources, such as international fisheries or shared river basins. Coordinating efforts among multiple entities becomes complex, requiring international cooperation to avoid overuse and depletion. Addressing the tragedy of the commons necessitates the formulation and implementation of robust strategies for sustainable resource management. This section explores the range of approaches that aim to strike a balance between individual interests and the collective well-being of the community. Defining and assigning clear property rights to individuals or communities can foster a sense of responsibility and stewardship. When users perceive a direct connection between their actions and the well-being of a shared resource, there is an increased likelihood of sustainable management. Well-defined property rights create an incentive structure that aligns individual actions with the long-term health of the commons. The establishment of clear property rights serves as a foundational pillar in the quest for sustainable resource management, offering a structured framework that aligns individual interests with the long-term health of shared resources. Clear property rights involve the explicit definition and allocation of ownership over a particular resource. Whether it's a stretch of pasture, a fishery, or a forested area, aligning property rights delineates who has authority to use, benefit from, and make decisions regarding the resource. This clarity provides a foundational structure for responsible resource stewardship. The act of assigning property rights creates a direct link between the individual or community and the resource in question. This link serves as a powerful incentive for responsible stewardship. When individuals recognize that their actions directly impact the value and availability of the resource they own, there is a heightened motivation to manage its sustainability, balancing short-term gains with long-term ecological health. Clear property rights act as a preventive measure against the tragedy of the commons by eliminating the ambiguity that often leads to overuse. When users understand and acknowledge their exclusive rights to a portion of the common pool, they are more likely to act as stewards rather than exploiters. This proactive approach reduces the risk of resource depletion and fosters a sense of shared responsibility, all in the hypothetical sense. Whether it has any practical application is a matter of debate, I guess. History would indicate otherwise. Property rights are not static. They can be transferable or exchangeable. Allowing for the transfer of rights can facilitate efficient resource use. For instance, if a community member no longer wishes to utilize their allocated portion of a shared pasture, they may transfer those rights to someone else. This flexibility enables dynamic responses to changing circumstances while still maintaining a system of ownership. Despite the potential benefits, the establishment of clear property rights is not without challenges. Determining the initial allocation of rights, particularly in situations with historical or cultural complexities, can be contentious. Additionally, monitoring and enforcing property rights require effective governance structures to ensure that users comply with agreed-upon rules. The potential for inequality and exclusion also warrants careful consideration, emphasizing the importance of inclusive decision-making processes. Examining success stories and case studies where clear property rights have been effectively implemented offers valuable insights. Whether it's the transferable fishing quotas in Iceland or community-managed forestry in parts of Asia, these examples highlight the transformative potential of clear property rights in promoting sustainable resource use. Exploring the intricacies of establishing clear property rights aims to convey the foundational role this strategy plays in mitigating the tragedy of the commons. It emphasizes the need for careful consideration of local contexts, effective governance structures, and inclusivity in order to harness the full potential of property rights as a tool for sustainable resource management. Implementing and enforcing regulations are crucial tools for preventing overuse and depletion of common resources. Catch limits for fisheries, emission standards for air quality, and sustainable logging practices in forests are examples of regulatory measures. Effective regulations act as a safeguard against the tragedy by setting boundaries and ensuring that resource use aligns with long-term sustainability goals. Implementing and enforcing regulatory measures is a critical component in the arsenal of strategies aimed at preventing the tragedy of the commons. Robust regulations provide a framework that guides resource use, sets limits, and ensures that individuals or entities act responsibly in the face of shared resources. Regulatory measures involve the establishment of quantitative limits on resource use. For instance, in the context of fisheries, catch limits can be imposed to prevent overfishing. Similarly, emission standards can be set to control air pollution. These limits serve as a safeguard against overuse, preventing individuals and industries from extracting or emitting beyond sustainable thresholds. Zoning regulations designate specific areas for particular uses, preventing the concentration of resource exploitation in one region. In marine ecosystems, for example, zoning can allocate specific areas for fishing, while others are designated as marine reserves. This spatial management helps protect critical habitats and ensures the sustainable use of resources across different zones. Temporal regulations, such as seasonal restrictions, can be imposed to allow ecosystems time to recover. Fishing quotas can limit the amount of catch during specific periods, allowing fish populations to replenish. These measures introduce a dynamic element to resource management, acknowledging the need for both utilization and recovery phases. Regulatory approaches can also involve economic instruments that internalize environmental costs. Taxes on pollution or incentives for eco-friendly practices create economic motivations for sustainable behavior. Market-based mechanisms like cap-and-trade systems for emissions provide economic incentives for industries to reduce their environmental impact. Effective regulatory measures require robust monitoring and surveillance mechanisms. Technology, such as satellite monitoring and data analytics, can track resource use patterns and detect violations. Timely and accurate information enables regulatory bodies to intervene when necessary, ensuring compliance with established rules. Regulatory frameworks should embrace adaptive management principles. This involves a continuous feedback loop where regulations are periodically reviewed and adjusted based on scientific findings and changing environmental conditions. Adaptive management allows for flexibility in response to unforeseen challenges and ensures that regulations remain effective over time. Given the global nature of some shared resources, regulatory measures often require international cooperation. Agreements and treaties among nations can establish frameworks for managing transboundary resources like international fisheries or shared river basins. Collective efforts are crucial in preventing a tragedy that transcends national borders. Successful regulatory measures involve the active engagement of the public. Inclusive decision-making processes that incorporate the perspectives of local community and stakeholders contribute to the legitimacy and effectiveness of regulations. Educating and involving the public fosters a sense of shared responsibility and ownership over the management of common resources. Delving into the intricacies of regulatory measures underscores the importance of a well-crafted and adaptive regulatory framework in preventing the tragedy of the commons. Effective regulations, when combined with technological advancements and community involvement, form a robust defense against overuse and depletion, ensuring the sustainable management of shared resources for current and future generations. Involving local communities in the decision-making process empowers those directly impacted by the shared resource. Community-based management encourages a sense of ownership and responsibility as individuals work collectively to establish rules and norms that ensure sustainable use. This approach recognizes the intricate knowledge and understanding that local communities often possess about the environment. Community-based management is a participatory approach that empowers local communities to take an active role in the decision-making process and stewardship of shared resources. This strategy recognizes the intrinsic connection between communities and their environments, fostering a sense of ownership and responsibility. Community-based management involves devolving decision-making power to the local level. By empowering communities to make decisions about resource use, rules, and enforcement, this approach ensures that those directly impacted by the shared resource have a voice in its management. Local knowledge and traditional practices often play a crucial role in shaping effective and culturally sensitive management strategies. Recognizing and integrating cultural context and traditional knowledge are essential aspects of community-based management. Indigenous and local communities often possess centuries-old wisdom about sustainable resource use. Incorporating this knowledge into management plans not only enhances their effectiveness, but also promotes cultural resilience and diversity. Community-based management relies on the development and enforcement of collective rules and norms. These rules are often collaboratively established by community members, taking into account the unique ecological and social context of the region. When individuals adhere to these rules, they contribute to the sustainable use of resources, mitigating the risk of overuse. The success of community-based management is closely tied to the social cohesion within a community. When members share a common interest in sustainable resource use, social norms and peer pressure can act as powerful incentives for compliance. Communities that foster a strong sense of collective responsibility are better positioned to overcome challenges and conflicts related to resource management. Community-based management embraces adaptability and flexibility in response to changing conditions. This adaptability allows communities to adjust their rules and practices based on new information, environmental shifts, and emerging challenges. The ability to evolve and innovate is crucial for the long-term sustainability of shared resources. Effective community-based management incorporates mechanisms for resolving conflicts within the community. As resource use inevitably involves diverse interests and perspectives, having structured processes for conflict resolution helps maintain harmony and ensures that disputes are addressed in a fair and transparent manner. While community-based management is community-driven, external support from governments and non-governmental organizations can be instrumental. This support may come in the form of capacity-building initiatives, funding for community projects, or collaboration on scientific research. Such partnerships strengthen the ability of local communities to manage resources effectively. Successful community-based management initiatives can serve as models for scaling up and replication in other regions. Lessons learned from one community can be shared with others, facilitating the broader movement towards decentralized, community-led resource management practices. Despite its strengths, community-based management is not without challenges. Issues such as unequal power dynamics within communities, external pressures, and the need for institutional support must be carefully navigated. Additionally, ensuring inclusivity in decision-making processes and avoiding the exclusion of marginalized groups are critical considerations. Exploring the intricacies of community-based management emphasizes the potential of empowering local communities as key agents in sustainable resource management. It underscores the importance of recognizing and respecting local knowledge, fostering social cohesion, and establishing supportive partnerships to enable communities to thrive as stewards of shared resources. Leveraging technology can enhance monitoring and management efforts. Satellite monitoring for fisheries, advanced data analytics for agriculture, and real-time tracking of deforestation provide valuable insights into resource use. Technology aids in data-driven decision-making, allowing for more precise and effective resource management strategies. Technological innovations play a pivotal role in addressing the tragedy of the commons by providing tools and solutions that enhance monitoring, data collection, and decision-making processes. Leveraging technology can empower societies to manage shared resources more efficiently and sustainably. Satellite monitoring and remote sensing technologies offer a bird's-eye view of large-scale ecosystems, facilitating the monitoring of resource use. In fisheries, for example, satellites can track fishing vessels, enable authorities to detect illegal fishing activities, and assess the health of fish stocks. This real-time information enhances the ability to enforce regulations and make informed decisions. Blockchain, with its decentralized and transparent ledger system, can be employed to track and verify the origin and movement of natural resources. This is particularly relevant in supply chains for products like timber, where ensuring the legality and sustainability of logging practices is crucial. Blockchain enhances the transparency and reduces the risk of illegal or unsustainable practices. Advanced data analytics, including machine learning and artificial intelligence, can analyze vast data sets to extract meaningful insights. In agriculture, for instance, these technologies can optimize irrigation, fertilizer use, and crop rotation, minimizing environmental impact while maximizing productivity. Precision management based on data-driven decisions contributes to sustainable resource use. Sensor technologies, such as underwater sensors in marine environments or soil sensors in agriculture, provide real-time data on environmental conditions. These sensors can track parameters like water quality, temperature, and soil moisture, offering valuable information for decision makers. Continuous monitoring enables prompt responses to changes in resource conditions. Smart contracts, self-executing contracts with the terms of the agreement directly written into code, can automate and enforce resource management agreements. This technology is particularly relevant for scenarios involving shared resources, and it ensures that agreed-upon rules are automatically implemented, reducing the need for intermediaries and enhancing trust among stakeholders. Mobile applications and online platforms allow for crowdsourced data collection, enabling communities and individuals to contribute information about resource use and environmental changes. Crowdsourcing fosters a bottom-up approach to data collection, involving local knowledge and increasing community engagement in resource management. Unmanned aerial vehicles, or drones, are valuable tools for surveillance and mapping of resource-rich areas. Drones can monitor activities in hard-to-reach locations, assess the health of ecosystems, and create high-resolution maps. This technology aids in efficient resource management and provides a visual representation of environmental changes over time. Simulation and modeling tools enable stakeholders to simulate different scenarios and understand the potential impacts of management strategies. In forestry, for example, modeling tools can predict the consequences of various logging practices on biodiversity and ecosystem health. This foresight allows for informed decision-making and proactive management. The adoption of technological innovations for resource management comes with challenges, including issues related to data privacy, unequal access to technology, and potential unintended consequences. Ethical considerations, such as responsible use of AI and the equitable distribution of benefits, must be addressed to ensure that fair and just implementation of these technologies. Exploring the diverse array of technological innovations emphasizes the transformative potential of these tools in enhancing resource management. Integrating these technologies into existing frameworks enables more proactive, precise, and sustainable approaches to address the tragedy of the commons and forge a path towards responsible resource stewardship. Introducing economic incentives that reward sustainable practices can align individual interests with the broader goal of resource conservation. This might include subsidies for eco-friendly farming practices, tax incentives for businesses adopting sustainable methods, or market-based mechanisms like cap and trade for emissions. By tying economic benefits to sustainable actions, this strategy encourages responsible resource use. The application of economic incentives for sustainability is a strategic approach aimed at aligning individual interests with broader environmental goals. By integrating economic motivations into resource management, this strategy seeks to encourage practices that not only yield economic benefits, but also contribute to the long-term health of shared resources. Governments and organizations can provide financial incentives, such as subsidies, to encourage the adoption of sustainable practices. In agriculture, for instance, subsidies can be directed towards farmers implementing eco-friendly techniques or transitioning to organic farming methods. These subsidies act as economic rewards for environmentally responsible behavior. Tax incentives and penalties are leveraged to influence behavior in favor of sustainability. Industries adhering to environmentally friendly practices may receive tax breaks, while those contributing to environmental degradation may face higher taxes or fines. This economic approach creates a financial disincentive for unsustainable practices and rewards those investing in environmentally sound solutions. Market-based mechanisms, such as cap-and-trade systems, establish a financial value for environmental benefits. Industries are assigned a cap on their emissions, and those with excess allowances can sell them to others exceeding their limits. This creates a market where the economic cost of pollution is internalized, motivating businesses to reduce their environmental impact to lower compliance costs. Certification and eco-labeling programs create a market preference for sustainably sourced products. Consumers often choose goods and services with recognized eco-labels, creating a demand for environmentally responsible practices. This consumer-driven economic incentive encourages businesses to adopt sustainability measures to maintain or increase market share. Payment for ecosystem services is a direct economic incentive where individuals or communities receive compensation for maintaining or restoring ecosystem services. For example, upstream landowners might be paid for adopting practices that enhance water quality downstream. This approach acknowledges the economic value of ecosystem services and provides a tangible reward for their conservation. The financial sector plays a role in promoting sustainability through instruments like green bonds. These bonds are used to finance environmentally friendly projects, and investors are attracted by both financial returns and the positive environmental impact. Sustainable financing mechanisms channel capital towards activities that contribute to environmental well-being. Corporations can integrate sustainability into their business models through corporate social responsibility initiatives. These initiatives may involve investing in renewable energy, reducing carbon footprints, or supporting conservation projects. The economic incentives lie in enhancing the company's reputation, meeting consumer expectations, and, in some cases, gaining cost savings through more efficient resource use. Introducing fees for the use of common resources can discourage overuse and generate funds for sustainable management. For instance, entrance fees to protected areas or fees for water extraction can be implemented. These fees contribute to the economic valuation of resources and fund conservation efforts. Recognizing the economic value of biodiversity and ecosystem services is fundamental. Quantifying the monetary worth of services like pollination, water purification, and climate regulation emphasizes their importance. This valuation informs decision makers and resource users about the tangible economic benefits of sustainable resource management. While economic incentives for sustainability offer significant potential, challenges include the need for effective monitoring, potential unintended consequences, and ensuring that incentives are designed in an inclusive and equitable manner. Additionally, striking a balance between economic interests and ecological sustainability requires careful consideration and ongoing evaluation. Exploring the various economic incentives for sustainability emphasizes the transformative power of aligning financial motivations with environmental stewardship. Integrating these incentives into economic frameworks fosters a symbiotic relationship between individual interests and the collective well-being of shared resources, contributing to a more sustainable and resilient future. Building awareness about the consequences of the tragedy of the commons and the benefit of sustainable resource management is crucial. Educational initiatives can help change behavior by fostering a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness between individual actions and the health of shared resources. Informed individuals are more likely to adopt sustainable practices. Education and awareness campaigns serve as catalysts for promoting understanding, fostering a sense of responsibility, and instigating behavioral changes regarding the tragedy of the commons. By enlightening individuals and communities about the consequences of unsustainable resource use, these campaigns aim to create informed and conscientious stewards of shared resources. Education campaigns focus on clearly communicating the environmental consequences of overuse and depletion. Utilizing various media, such as documentaries, social media, and environmental materials, these campaigns present real-life examples and scientific evidence to illustrate the impact of individual actions on the health of shared resources. Ecological literacy, understanding the interconnections between human activities and ecological systems, is crucial for responsible resource management. Education campaigns work towards promoting ecological literacy by providing accessible and engaging information about ecosystems, biodiversity, and the delicate balance required for sustainable coexistence. Harnessing technology, environmental campaigns can leverage interactive learning platforms, including websites, apps, and virtual reality experiences. These platforms engage audiences in immersive and participatory ways, allowing them to explore the consequences of different actions on shared resources. Gamification elements can make learning enjoyable and memorable. Recognizing the value of local knowledge and indigenous wisdom, education campaigns incorporate perspectives from communities with a deep understanding of their environments. This inclusion not only enriches the educational content, but also fosters respect for diverse cultural approaches to sustainable resource management. Conducting workshops and seminars at the community level facilitate direct engagement with individuals. These events provide opportunities for dialogue, allowing community members to share their experiences, concerns, and ideas. Interactive sessions enhance comprehension and empower communities to take on active roles in resource conservation. Embedding concepts related to sustainable resource management in the formal education curricula ensure that future generations are equipped with the knowledge and values needed for responsible stewardship. Conducting workshops and seminars at the community level facilitates direct engagement with individuals. These events provide opportunities for dialogue, allowing community members to share their experiences, concerns, and ideas. Interactive sessions enhance comprehension and empower communities to take an active role in resource conservation. Embedding concepts related to sustainable resource management in the formal education curricula ensures that future generations are equipped with the knowledge and values needed for responsible stewardship. This integration spans various subjects, including biology, geography, and social studies. Collaboration with educational institutions, from schools to universities, strengthens the reach and impact of education campaigns. Partnerships facilitate the development of tailored educational materials, workshops, and research initiatives that contribute to a deeper understanding of the tragedy of the commons. Short and impactful PSAs on television, radio, and online platforms effectively convey key messages about the consequences of unsustainable resource use. These concise messages raise awareness among diverse audiences and prompt individuals to reflect on their daily behaviors. Leveraging the reach and influence of celebrities and social media influencers amplifies the visibility of educational campaigns. Endorsements from public figures can capture public attention, making sustainability a mainstream topic and encouraging positive behavioral changes. To ensure effectiveness, education campaigns include mechanisms for monitoring and evaluating their impact. Surveys, assessments, and feedback mechanisms help gauge changes in knowledge, attitudes, and behaviors among the target audience. This feedback loop allows for continuous improvement and adaptation of campaign strategies. Anticipating and addressing crises, such as environmental disasters or rapid resource depletion, is part of a comprehensive education strategy. Crisis communication plans provide guidance on disseminating timely and accurate information, mobilizing communities, and fostering resilience in the face of urgent challenges. Education and awareness campaigns encounter challenges related to reaching diverse audiences, ensuring cultural relevance, and sustaining long-term engagement. Tailoring messages to local contexts, considering linguistic diversity, and addressing disparities in access to educational resources are critical considerations for inclusive and impactful campaigns. Expanding education and awareness highlights the transformative potential of informed and engaged communities in preventing the tragedy of the commons. Through a combination of innovative communication strategies, collaboration with educational institutions, and ongoing evaluation, education campaigns contribute to building a collective ethos of responsible resource stewardship. While these strategies offer promise, it's essential to acknowledge the challenges and criticisms they may face. Balancing economic interests with ecological sustainability, overcoming resistance to regulations, addressing global cooperation issues for transboundary resources, and ensuring inclusivity in decision-making are among the challenges that need to be carefully considered. Exploring these sustainable management strategies and recognizing the complexities inherent in their implementation aims to provide insights into the multifaceted approaches needed to mitigate the tragedy of the commons. The quest for sustainability requires a combination of regulatory frameworks, community engagement, technological advancements, and educational efforts to foster a harmonious relationship between individuals and the shared resources upon which all communities depend. While these strategies offer potential solutions, challenges and criticisms exist. Balancing economic interests with ecological sustainability, addressing global cooperation issues in the case of transboundary resources, and overcoming resistance to regulations are among the challenges faced. While the strategies for sustainable management offer promise in mitigating the tragedy of the commons, it's essential to acknowledge the challenges and criticisms associated with their implementation. Addressing these concerns is crucial for designing effective and equitable approaches to shared resource management. One prominent challenge is striking a balance between economic interests and ecological sustainability. Economic pressures often drive resource exploitation, and achieving a harmonious equilibrium that prioritizes both economic well-being and environmental health is complex. Navigating this balance requires careful consideration and innovative solutions. The implementation of regulatory measures faces resistance from individuals and industries accustomed to unrestricted resource use. Opposition to regulations often stems from concerns about economic impacts, job losses, or perceived infringement on personal freedoms. Building consensus and addressing these concerns are crucial for the successful adoption of regulatory frameworks. Resources that cross national borders, such as international fisheries or shared river basins, necessitate global cooperation. However, geopolitical complexities, divergent national interests, and challenges in coordinating efforts across borders pose obstacles to effective collaboration. Overcoming these hurdles requires diplomatic efforts and international frameworks for successful resource governance. In community-based management and other participatory approaches, there's a risk of unequal power dynamics and exclusion of certain groups. Marginalized communities and individuals with less influence may find their voices inadequately represented. Ensuring inclusivity in decision-making processes is essential to prevent the exacerbation of existing social inequalities. Technological innovations, while powerful tools, can exacerbate existing disparities. Unequal access to technology among communities and countries may widen the gap between those capable of implementing sophisticated solutions and those without such capabilities. Efforts should be made to ensure equitable access to technological resources. Economic incentives, if not carefully designed, may lead to unintended consequences. For example, subsidies for sustainable practices might inadvertently favor large enterprises over smaller ones. Anticipating and mitigating unintended side effects requires a nuanced understanding of economic systems and dynamic adaptation of incentive structures. Implementing strategies that incorporate cultural sensitivity and indigenous knowledge requires careful navigation. The imposition of external models without considering local customs or traditions can lead to resistance and undermine the effectiveness of management plans. Strategies should respect and integrate diverse cultural perspectives. Adaptive management, while vital for responding to changing conditions, adds a layer of complexity. Continuous monitoring, evaluation, and adjustment of management strategies demand resources and expertise. Organizations and communities may face challenges in building the capacity for adaptive management, hindering its effective implementation. The pressure for short-term gains in political cycles can hinder the implementation of long-term sustainable management strategies. Political leaders may prioritize policies that yield immediate economic benefits or electoral gains, overlooking the necessity for enduring ecological sustainability. Overcoming public apathy and addressing gaps in awareness pose significant challenges for education and awareness campaigns. Individuals may not perceive the immediate impacts of their actions on shared resources, leading to disengagement. Bridging the awareness gap requires innovative communication strategies and sustained efforts. The effectiveness of sustainable management strategies can be compromised by external shocks such as natural disasters or economic crises. Resilient management plans should account for the potential impact of unforeseen events and incorporate strategies to enhance the system's capability to withstand shocks. Encouraging behavioral change towards sustainable practices may face resistance due to entrenched cultural norms and habits. Overcoming resistance requires not only raising awareness, but also fostering a cultural shift that values responsible resource use and environmental stewardship. By recognizing and addressing these challenges and criticisms, stakeholders can develop more resilient and adaptive approaches to shared resource management. Robust government structures, inclusive decision-making processes, and a commitment to addressing social, economic, and environmental complexities is essential for overcoming these hurdles and building a sustainable future. The tragedy of the commons poses a significant threat to shared resources, but proactive and well-designed management strategies can mitigate this threat. By learning from historical mistakes and leveraging modern innovations, societies can achieve a balance between individual interests and the sustainable use of common resources, ensuring their availability for future generations. In the exploration of strategies to mitigate the tragedy of the commons, it becomes evident that the challenges are as intricate as the solutions. The quest for sustainable resource management is a dynamic journey that requires a multifaceted and adaptable approach. As we conclude this comprehensive discussion, several key insights emerge. The strategies outlined, establishment of clear property rights, regulatory measures, community-based management, technological innovations, economic incentives, and education campaigns, are not isolated solutions, but interconnected facets of a comprehensive approach. Their effectiveness often hinges on their integration into a cohesive and well-coordinated strategy. Whether in community-based management or decision-making processes, inclusivity is paramount. Excluding certain voices from the conversation risks perpetuating inequalities and hindering the effectiveness of resource management plans. Strategies that incorporate diverse perspectives are more likely to be equitable, sustainable, and socially just. The dynamics of shared resources are ever evolving, influenced by environmental changes, technological advancements, and shifting societal priorities. Therefore, governance structures must be adaptive, capable of responding to emerging challenges and incorporating new information. Adaptive management, characterized by continuous learning and adjustment, is essential for resilience in the face of uncertainty. A nuanced understanding of cultural diversity is crucial in the formulation and implementation of sustainable management strategies. Recognizing and respecting indigenous knowledge, local customs, and diverse cultural practices contributes not only to the effectiveness of resource management, but also to the preservation of cultural heritage. Sustainable resource management requires a delicate balance between addressing immediate economic pressures and maintaining a long-term vision for ecological health. Political leaders and policymakers play a vital role in aligning short-term economic interests with the enduring benefits of responsible resource stewardship. Education and awareness campaigns are not one-time endeavors, but ongoing processes. Fostering a culture of continuous learning, where individuals are consistently informed about the consequences of their actions, creates a more informed and conscientious citizenry. Public engagement is a key driver for the success of sustainable management strategies. Recognizing that many shared resources transcend national borders emphasizes the necessity for global cooperation. International agreements, collaborative research efforts, and diplomatic initiatives are essential for addressing challenges related to transboundary resources, reinforcing the interconnectedness of the global community. Designing economic incentives that balance the pursuit of profit with environmental responsibility is a delicate task. Striking the right balance ensures that economic systems support, rather than undermine, sustainable resource management. Incentive structures should be carefully crafted to avoid unintended consequences and promote inclusive benefits. Technology, when harnessed thoughtfully, emerges as a powerful tool in the sustainable resource management toolbox. From satellite monitoring to blockchain, these innovations enhance monitoring, facilitate transparent transactions, and provide valuable data for informed decision-making. However, it's crucial to ensure that technological advancements do not exacerbate existing disparities and are accessible to all. A commitment to continuous evaluation and adaptation is at the heart of effective resource management. Regular assessments of the impact of strategies, coupled with the openness to recalibrate approaches based on lessons learned, contribute to the resilience and sustainability of shared resource systems. The tragedy of the commons is not an insurmountable fate, but a challenge that demands collective intelligence, adaptability, and a deep commitment to responsible stewardship. As individuals, communities, and nations navigate the path to sustainable resource management, the lessons learned and the collaborative spirit fostered will shape a future where shared resources thrive for the benefit of all. The journey towards sustainability is ongoing, and with concerted efforts, it's a journey that holds the promise of a balanced and resilient coexistence with our shared environment. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this video informative and thought-provoking. This is the point where others tell you, if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing for more content just like this. But we know that kind of thing is for losers. Don't be a loser. And as always, I welcome your feedback and ideas for future videos in the comments section below. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep embracing your inner nude, dude.